Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.
Gotham, Oakland. Welcome back, everyone. This is your host, Seneca Scott. Really good to have you here this morning. We're going to be talking about some money, the budget. Will Oakland go bankrupt is the question for today. But before we get into that question with our very special guest, Chris Moore, we're going to be giving a little bit of background in my role in Oakland's my role in Oakland's finances. As many of you know, I came to Oakland in 2012 as the East Bay director of SCIU 1021. And the first thing that I got to work doing was negotiating collective bargaining agreement for every single East Bay city, as well as SPART and the Port of Oakland, as well as several nonprofits. Now, why was this bargaining cycle so important? It was the first cycle since Oakland had renegotiated with the unions and our creditors after the Great Recession in 2009. And because the public sector labor union pressure, a lot of that was undone. We're going to talk about all of that today. We're going to take you back through 10 years ago, show you the continuity of government and decisions that were made in Oakland that led us to our current state of affairs. Exactly who is responsible for what's going on right now and what we can do in the days and weeks and months ahead to make sure that Oakland doesn't go bankrupt. But first, you have to know the golden rule of grifting. Woke goes broke. When we talk about woke, we're not talking about progress. We're not talking about social justice movement. I've always been a strong advocate for the working class. I've always fought for things that are important for people, like having the political power to represent yourself, making sure that people have healthy and nutritious food in their neighborhood, making sure that our elders and our children have been looked after. So I've spent my entire life as a union organizer, community organizer, in service to my community. So when I say woke, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the charlatans. We're talking about the poverty pimps. We're talking about those people who talk a good game, who virtue signal endlessly while they're hiding skeletons in their closet and changing their names every time they move to another city. Cat Brooks, anyone, or Sheliak Polk, her real name. Why did she change her name, Kitty? Why did she change her name? One day we'll find out. We'll cover that in a future episode. But let's get into it. What happened during the Great Recession? And understand where Oakland's at right now, we need to go back to 2012. But before we do that, I have a little clip to share with you. When Shin Tao was elected in 2022, and she swore in 2023, we immediately, after the firing of Chief Armstrong, saw Oakland fall off a cliff in public safety. It looked like the teacher was gone and we're left with a substitute. We saw violent crime spike. We saw Oakland become the leader in stolen vehicle. We saw Oakland become a national punchline for retail theft, for catalytic converter theft. To me, it reminded me of just how fast things fall apart when you have poor leadership. And not just poor leadership that's inept, but poor leadership that is corrupt. It reminds me of when Biff stole the almanac in Back to the Future 2, and then when Michael J. Fox returned to Hill Valley, what he saw had become of his city. Let's watch and think about Oakland and think about just how fast Oakland has declined in the recent years. Welcome to Hill Valley. That might as well be welcome to Oakland when Shin Tao became mayor. Well, they got dive shows, burnt out vehicles, trash everywhere, homeless people. That might as well say Mayor Shin Tao and not Biff. Tell me this ain't Oakland. Tell me this isn't Oakland. Let's get back to the fun stuff. What happened during the Great Recession? How did Oakland climb our way out of this financial hole? What did we do? Who was responsible? And can we do those things again? So, first thing you need to know is that in 2009, Oakland was facing very much the same issues that we are today. Lamont named Oakland's interim city administrator, 2011. What Lamont did was negotiate with the public sector labor unions and the bondholders. Let me go down here. He said the Oakland had a $46 million budget back then. $46 million. That's like a third of where we're at today. We're at over $100 million, I think almost $111 million. Now, what Lamont did is the same thing we need to do today. I'm going to leave this up so you guys can read it. He had to negotiate with both the unions. He had them take concessions. Then he also had to negotiate with the bondholders who hold our debt. Because when you go bankrupt, an official bankruptcy, your bondholders own the city. What that means is that Wall Street owns the city because they represent the bond. We have to do everything possible to prevent Wall Street bankers from running the city of Oakland. At least some of us believe that. Our current so-called progressive city council doesn't seem to care about the potential consequences of their action because we don't have Lamont coming back. Also, look at this. This is key here. We are at a unique time in our era of government, a time for reset, a time to step back, reorganize government, pay structures, pension. But if we are not taking this seriously, communities will suffer drastically. Well, we listened to Lamont then, who was only 42 at the time. I'm 45 right now. Think about this was a very young man who had really good experience in municipal finance, something that is missing in Oakland today. Oakland's a union town. Now, I know that more than anyone. Why? Because I'm the person who actually negotiated the first round of agreement after Lamont went and fixed our city structure. Me, personally, I have a first-hand account of exactly what we did at the bargaining table to undo some of the long-term solutions that Lamont and Oakland City Council put into place in 2011. City of Oakland in 2013 held a one-day strike in protest of some of these long-term structural fixes that Lamont and the City Council put in place. This started a firestorm of very aggressive labor actions. This is when you actually started to see the progressives take control of City Council. Prior to this, you didn't see any of that. They had very little control. The unions were, I know this because we fought to get our people onto City Council for the sole purpose of rubber stamping collective bargaining agreements that were favorable to our workers. We're going to talk a lot about this later today with our guest, Chris Moore, but just try to keep all of this in mind on this timeline. Oakland went through a great recession. We had to fix it or we were going to go bankrupt. Enters Lamont who very creatively negotiated with both bondholders and public sector labor unions to come up with short and long-term solutions. Then immediately, the very next bargaining cycle, public sector labor unions start to undo some of these hard-fought solutions that were negotiated from both parties. This went on a decade. You have this one-day strike here in July, and then you have it again in 2017, another strike. This time, it was an unfair labor practice strike, but all union strikes are unfair labor practice strikes for one reason. It's just to educate people who don't understand how this works. If you strike for the purpose of just compensation, you can be replaced. It is not protected. For a worker to be protected for essentially quitting their job and striking, there has to be something illegal or at least alleged illegal that the management has done. Therefore, you have an unfair labor practice strike, which makes it legal. Then the workers can't get locked out and be replaced by other workers or Schaaf. So when you take workers on strike to protect them in their jobs, you need to find an unfair labor practice. Sometimes they're manufactured. Most times management actually does do something illegal, and you just have to look through and find something, anything, no matter how small, and you build a big thing around it. The basis of these negotiations, oh wow, Willie Brown. They rejected an offer to have former Mayor Willie Brown mediate the talks. This is not even 10 years ago. Willie Brown had to have been like in the 70s then. This is under Mayor Libby Schaaf. The major sticking point. The unions want to tie the second year of a 2-year contract to revenue growth. The city wants to tie it to revenue growth. The union wants a guaranteed 4% raise. Let me say this again. The city wanted to tie the union's compensation packages to revenue growth. The city makes more money, we don't mind paying better compensation packages. The union said, no. We don't care what happened. We want our money, and we want it now, and we're going to strike to get it. Now, I've always said power concedes nothing without demand, never has, never will. From the great Frederick Douglass, Senator Scott likes to add, demands come with consequences. Much like we demanded that Shing Tao be a competent mayor and show up and do her job, she didn't, the consequences. It's called a recall. For union members, the consequences that we usually give to management is called a strike. It shouldn't be used lightly. It looks that when looking back on things, a lot of the work that I was tremendously proud of actually may have helped lead Oakland to potential bankruptcy. Tough pill to swallow. But I'm swallowing it, and I'm here to do my part to help make sure that you are armed with the information that you need to know to understand this very complex budget and exactly where things went wrong. Okay, we got a few more things to cover. Just a few more that we're going to bring on our guests. Let's talk about Oakland's mayor. Now, when it comes to the current budget, remember, just last year, they passed what they called was a balanced budget. They celebrated it. They patted themselves on the back. What did we all say? That shit is not going to work. We all said it's not going to work. Then what happens? They overestimated the real estate transfer tax. They overprojected a whole bunch of numbers full of hopium that the progressives usually tend to have. And then we're facing bankruptcy. Now, Rebecca Kaplan, Shing Tao, they're blaming Libby. They're blaming the previous administration, conveniently forgetting that city council has to pass the budget, not the mayor. The mayor doesn't even have line item veto power. The mayor gives their version of the budget, and then it's at the whims of city council. City council can do whatever they want from that point. So if you recall, when Shing Tao was running, she was running on understanding the budget better than any other candidate. She said that she understood the budget better than any other candidate. She was also asked about the previous budget. Regarding the last budget written by the mayor and approved by city council with amendment, is there anything that you feel that you would have cut as mayor, and did they leave anything out that you feel should have been included? I don't know why they're saying they. She was on city council. It should have been you. But look at her answer. I've been working at City Hall for a decade. Remember that. She always tries to act like she just showed up. She's been there for a decade. And I know the process. We vote on the budget, and you can always come back to amendment. She said she is proud of having voted for this budget in its entirety. So a few years back when she was running for mayor, when given the opportunity to call blame to Libby, to call blame to the previous administration for potential budget woes, she didn't take that opportunity. Why? Because she was proud of the budget. What happened to that? What happened to that? There's another slide I want to share. Rebecca Kaplan. Rebecca Kaplan, you know what? I have to go back to, hold on. I've got to go back. Because this one right here, prior leadership, you have been in leadership since 2012, if not earlier. I don't understand, Becky. Why do you think that you have no hand? You have approved every single budget in the past decade. You're the longest tenured city council member, probably in Oakland's history, but definitely standing right now. And you think you can escape any responsibility for the damage that you have caused to our city. You're not going to get away with it. It's not going to happen. Okay. Next up, we have Chris Moore. Many of you know Chris Moore from the past year. He is a board member of East Bay. Many of you know Chris Moore. He is a board member of East Bay Rental Housing Association. He also has spent a long time auditing city government. He has deep experience in municipal finance. He ran for Board of Supervisors in Alameda County this past year, and he's been extremely active in Oakland, making sure that our city government is held accountable and that he's using his knowledge, skills, and ability in municipal finance to help educate neighbors and voters to make better decisions at the ballot box and to hold our elected accountable real time right now to do what's right for our city. Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Hey, Seneca. Great.
So to the show. Now, we're not live, so you can, but pretend you're live anyway, so you get better at this. Now, I've got our stuff queued up. Let me see, to share our screen. But first, I have a few questions for you. We're going to review some documents, but give the audience, people who don't know you, if you're living in a cave or under a rock and you don't know who Chris Moore is in Oakland politics, give us a really brief introduction of who you are and what is your role in helping to watchdog Oakland's budget right now.
Got it. Yeah. So I've been very involved in the last couple of years in public safety for the community of Oakland and across Alameda County, actively involved in helping to bring better public safety for, again, Oakland, Alameda County. That's through working on recalls. I ran for county supervisor, and this was all based on accountability. So my background is I used to be a government auditor. I've gone through the budget, working also and reading everything that Oakland Report, the guys over there have done, just really analyzing what's really going on and getting through kind of the misinformation that city council's been and the mayor have been giving us.
Misinformation? I don't know. You left out you being a billionaire. Aren't you a billionaire, Chris? You're not one of those Piedmont billionaires?
I unfortunately no.
No?
Yeah, still working at it. But
if so, because you could have bailed out Oakland, right? A billionaire could bail out Oakland.
This is true.
Like the Duongs. Did you know that the Duongs gave millions to Trump?
I heard about that. Yeah, so maybe, and they've given so much to Shang, maybe they should be the ones that are bailing out Oakland. Maybe
I don't know. Maybe they're the radical right-wing billionaires that we should be worried about, considering that not a single person who's given to the recall had donated millions of dollars to Donald Trump. Anyway, I don't want to get too off track. I just thought I'll bring that up. Okay, I have a couple questions for you. I think we had something we were going to share. We're going to go through the Oakland Report, and I'll let you introduce that. But first, the big question, is Oakland going to go bankrupt?
Oh, hey, Carol Feist said the B word. Don't say bankrupt, Seneca. Only use the
Why
B
not? I'm not a city councilman. Our bond rating is split from what I say.
The investment bankers might find out, that the city might go bankrupt, but I don't think so. And here's why. Number one, there's this, the mayor, Shang Tao. She's being recalled, right? As you well know.
She's going to get recalled. She's gone.
She's going to get recalled. But if the city goes bankrupt before November 5th, then she's, it's for sure it's going to happen. But what else is going on? So Carol Feist is running for her life out in District 3. She's going to do everything she can to keep that role, even though she's done a horrible job for the city. So going bankrupt, she can't let that happen on her record. And lastly, Nikki Bass, who is really responsible for all this mess, she's running away from Oakland, trying to get a promotion up to the county. And can you imagine if she had bankrupt on her resume? It would not happen.
So why do you say that, Nikki? Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you said something I think that readers need some more information on. You said that Nikki Bass is really to blame. Can you briefly tell me why you believe that she's more to blame for this budget than Mayor Tile?
Yeah, if you look at Nikki Bass. So Nikki Bass is council president. Okay, she has been council president since January of 2021. She's also been the chair of the Rules Committee for the last 2 years. So what is
What
that?
is the rules committee?
So rules committee is every piece of legislation, everything that goes on the agenda that city council will vote on first has to go through rules committee. And the rules committee votes and determines whether that can go on to the agenda in city council. So Nikki chairs that committee. She controls every piece of legislation that has come up onto the council in the last 2 years. And on top of that, she's council president. So she also decides like what's going to be talked about. What can go in city council and what is going to be voted on. So she has so much control. She has more control than even Mayor Schaaf. So Nikki is really responsible for everything we see in Oakland today. And
But does that let Mayor Tao off the hook?
Absolutely not, because Tao, she's been in office since 2000. She's been working on city council since 2013. So Rebecca Kaplan hired her in 2013. 11 years she's been involved. So no, Mayor Tao's been lockstep with Nikki in helping to bring down the city of Oakland.
Andre Jones also worked for Rebecca Kaplan's office for some time. I just thought I'd throw that out there because all these names are swirling around. Exactly. Okay, so I've got another question then. Since you don't believe they're going to let us go bankrupt, how do we stop it? And what is the role of the stadium? Because the stadium's a big deal. And how do you think that this is going to play out with that stadium deal?
Yeah. So with the stadium, okay, first off, they are counting on the stadium to close by September 1st. Okay, so they went through this whole process, and assuming it closes for $105 million on September 1st, then they will still have a significant cut to public safety. It's going to be 200 positions. And if you, Oakland Report's done a ton of work on this, but there's going to be 100 police personnel cut. There's going to be 72 fire and another 28 public works professionals. They will be cut in this budget right now. As of today, that is going to happen. 200 public safety positions. And you know what's comical about all this is that both Nikki Bass and Schaaf put in their press release, the first line in their press release, this budget prioritizes public safety, and it does anything but it's more damaging to public safety than any budget we've probably ever had in Oakland.
Didn't Kyle in a recent interview blame the dissenting council members for actually fighting against public safety?
Isn't that what she always does? And that's what the regressives typically do, right? The regressives basically say, let's blame everybody else for what they're doing exactly. So yes, she did that.
The classic Darvo.
It is the Darvo, exactly. So that's what's happening, assuming that this deal closes, right? But even with that, let's just assume.
Whoa. What do you mean assuming? It's not a done deal?
So let's say you're buying a piece of real estate and you're going to the buyer, and the buyer says, hey, I might lose my job if this doesn't close on September 1st, and I need 105 million. Would you go and say, oh yeah, here's 105 million, right? I'll certainly buy it. No, they're not going to do that. On top of that, Nikki Bass just mentioned the other day, they're putting conditions on. They're going to put lots of conditions on this property. They're going to, require X amount of low cost homes. They're going to require lots of different things and entitlements. And that means that the value is going to go down. And that the buyer is going to come back and offer a lot less, and they'll have to make a decision whether they can even get loans to buy that property. So yeah, it's not a sure thing for sure.
Okay, let's talk about this bond rating thing for a second. Nikki Bass, now did you put those things in the notes? You want me to bring them up?
You don't have to bring them up.
Okay, so Nikki Bass had an interesting exchange with, was it a City of Oakland employee? Was it?
So there's a committee that's outside. It's kind of like a citizens committee that does a budget review and helps give input. So they're professionals, they're investment professionals, others that have been in the community that can provide advice to city council.
Were they appointed?
They are likely appointed. They're appointed. Yep.
Would you know by whom? Was it the mayor or is it?
I don't know who. It's
Okay.
it's typically the mayor recommends them, and the city council votes on that appointment.
Got it. So this civilian appointed review board that was selected for their municipal finance expertise gave some, what did they say to the city council, and what was Nikki Bass's response?
I mean, they gave a number of recommendations. One is just don't sell the Coliseum for one-time funds, but they made some, they implied that there could be a hit to the city's credit rating. And the credit rating is just like your FICO score. So if your FICO score goes down, you have to pay more interest, or it makes it more difficult to get loans, right? So they said that. So Nikki Bass in council meeting on the 28th, she questioned their financial, acumen for being able to make a statement like that. And she deferred to her unnamed neighbor that is a retired investment banking professional to give her advice for what might happen to the city. And
so Nick, sorry to interrupt you. So Nikki has an investment banker neighbor, and she doesn't hate him, considering she's a socialist and a commie.
Exactly.
She talks to this guy like in good faith, and she
they must have been, maybe they were walking their dogs out on the street and they stopped by, and she's like, "Hey, do you think our credit rating is going to go bad in Oakland?" And who knows? But yeah, it's strange situation to get advice from your neighbor, out walking on the sidewalk.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the union compensation. There's some data that I know you have prepared for us today about exactly what type of financial constraints we're under. And I want to give you a good couple minutes to kind of go through that in a comprehensive manner. And if you want me to share anything, I can share it for you. But before we get into that, I have a couple quick questions. Try to take a minute or two tops to answer them. The first, if you were getting asked this question, and let's say you were running for city council, you only get like 1 or 2 minutes to answer this stuff, right? So here's your fake city council question, as if you were potentially running. I'm not saying you are, but if you were running for Oakland City Council, what amendments would you have given the budget that were not present this time, that if they were accepted, would have left Oakland in a better financial situation?
Right. So if you look at, so overall, City of Oakland salaries are up more than 2.3 times the rate of inflation since 2013, over the last 12 years. And that is actually significantly more than even San Francisco. So Oakland employees, and I'm talking about all departments, across all departments, are paid significantly more than any other city in the Bay Area, and any similar size city. So they, rather than cut so deeply into public safety, they should be negotiating with the public sector employee unions today to say, hey, look, we can't give these same raises that we've promised. And the sooner they do that, the more jobs that will be saved. Because if you think about it, this selling of the Coliseum and getting them through, assuming it sells on September 1st, it only solves the problem until next June 30th, right? Less than 1 year away. They are going to have to make significant cuts across the entire workforce. And they're going to have to.
Do you think that they're waiting? Do you think that they're waiting for the collective bargaining period to begin next year? Because both Local 21 and SEIU Local 1021 enter negotiations next year. The contracts are up. You're saying, if I hear you correctly, we need to open the books now, not wait 10 to 12 months, or I think it's maybe 6 months, whatever it is. Right. It's well into next year. Are you saying that the unions need to open up those negotiations right now and bargain for a concession? And that's what you would be recommending as a city council person?
Yeah, they should have done it 6 months ago, because the sooner you do it, anybody in business, any manager, the sooner you do it, and if you cut a small amount across all the employees, you will save jobs. You won't be sending people to the unemployment line. And the longer they wait, that means more jobs will have to be cut at some point. And that's what's going to happen. Now, it could be that Nikki's plan, if you remember, Nikki Bass back in 2020 with Rebecca Kaplan, said, I want to cut public safety by 50%.
50%.
50, right?
And they did it. They fucking did it. Look at it right now. It looks like they've actually finally achieved that goal.
They are
Public
close.
safety is probably cut close to 50% from what it was in 2020. Is that accurate?
It's closer to like 30% right now. But that means by next November, unless they sell, maybe a for sale sign is going to go up on City Hall. I don't know. But if that happens, maybe they start selling off other assets and they don't have to cut as much. But no, next November, it's going to be next June, it's going to be a significant cut. And it likely will hit public safety in the community.
So I want to go back in time just a little bit. If you recall, doing our research for some of these things, we remember that the Coliseum, the Convention Center was sold in a similar manner as recommended by Lamont in 2011, 2012. How is that different, if at all, than the sale of the Coliseum? Because Lamont, although he gave caution about selling city's assets, he agreed that it was something that we had to do at that point to balance our books. Do you think that we're in a similar situation, that this is the move that Oakland's forced to do? Or do you think that there's other ways to get around it and not have to sell the stadium?
So they've gotten themselves in a position where they can sell up this asset. The thing is, this is an income producing asset. Now, maybe what they did in 2013, it produced some income to the city, but the Coliseum produces and can produce a lot more revenue to the city than that sale. But so now if they sell this, that revenue is cut off forever, right? And
so you mean all the bragging that Becky's doing about how much money we made in concerts, that money doesn't go to us anymore? Is that what you're saying?
It goes to whoever owns it. So it's going to go to the A's and it's going to go to the new buyers, right? So yeah, so we lose all that revenue. You lose all that. I mean, it's 135 acres. That certainly is revenue making opportunity that is gone for the city, and that's how it is different right now from that sale versus what's happening in 2013.
Got it. Okay, I have one more final surprise question for you. And you probably already guessed what it's going to be. But if you haven't, the question is, will you be returning to politics in the near future?
I'm seriously considering it. I ran, as you know, last in the primary, and there's a lot of interest. A lot of people are coming and asking me to run because I drive accountability. I'm not looking to sell off the city for my own interest, but we'll see. There might be some news coming out pretty soon.
Okay, and then lastly, I wanted to talk about the Oakland Report. Now, we could bring up the screen, but I think that we can just link it. But I want you to give but my viewers and listeners, why do you think the Oakland Report, what is the Oakland Report? How is it relevant right now in Oakland politics? And do you think that people should be reading it, and why?
So Oakland Report is a honest, they take an honest look at what's really going on in the city of Oakland and some across Alameda County stories. So they do in-depth analysis of looking at the budget numbers. They basically verify what people say in the city. So you have this independent group. They're not getting paid by anybody. They're not getting, they don't have an interest in telling mistruths to the community, like you see in many other publications that are here in the city of Oakland. So they do that in-depth study, and then they report on it. And so you can get real facts as to what's going on in the city of Oakland by going to Oakland Report and checking that out over on Substack.
Awesome. So I've been scrolling it up while you were talking so people could get a little bit of a primer or a teaser. We will put the link in the description so everyone can watch it. Okay, Chris, anything else you would like to leave? Any closing remarks for Oakland voters who are watching the show about the budget, what we need to do as civilians, and what can regular neighbors do to help fight for a better budget and financial future for Oakland?
I think the main thing everybody can do is, number one, when this stuff comes up at city council, don't be afraid to call in or go down there or write your city council person and let them know how displeased you are with their performance. But the most important thing you can do is get out and vote in November. Make sure you recall Shang Tao. Make sure you do not vote for Carol Fife, and make sure you do not vote for Nikki Bass unless you want more of the chaos that's going on in our community right now.
What is Nikki Bass running for? She's running for Oakland or again?
She's running for county supervisor to replace. She's running against John Botters. My opinion: vote for John Botters. Do not vote for Nikki Bass, because she's just going to take this chaos further across the county, and that's the last thing we need.
Okay, well, since you're giving us your picks, why don't we just go ahead and ask about at-large, because that's the big race too. What are you thinking about the at-large position now that we've seemed to have a set field?
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of good candidates out there. I like a number of people out there. I do think Laron Armstrong, as the former police chief, is a great choice for at-large, especially putting somebody who where the current council is just cutting and devastating our public safety. If you get somebody on there that understands that and understands how to rebuild that, it's going to be important for our community.
You don't think that that's a stretch for Oakland to go from defund the police leaders in the country to actually electing a former police chief to the citywide at-large position? Would that signal a political revolution in the city of Oakland?
I think so, and that's all the more reason to vote for Laron Armstrong, right? It's very important to make that happen, because it says, hey, we're tired of the regressive policies of Shang Tao, Nikki Bass, Rebecca Kaplan, Carol Fife. We're tired of these regressive policies, and we're going to put some more common sense on city council.
I love it. I can dig it. Hey, Chris Moore, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for all you do for Oakland. You got one thing left? You got, man, make it quick. Make it quick. I got to get my closing remarks and get out of here.
No, that's good. Thanks, man. Keep watching, and no, thanks for inviting me today, Seneca.
Thank you. I'll see you again soon.
Okay.
All right. That's Chris Moore. Very happy to have him on the show. He will be a frequent guest to give his deep knowledge in municipal finance. So I've got some closing remarks. Oakland's in trouble, y'all. We have people who've never signed checks on the front, who've never run a business, who don't know how to read a profit and loss statement. We have a mayor who can't even explain what a bond is. And now we have a city that has to raid its bond measures, its protected bond measures, because of a fiscal emergency born from their own financial irresponsibility. It is imperative that we renegotiate with public sector labor unions. It's imperative that we renegotiate with the bondholders. It's important that we invest in public safety so that we don't continue an exodus of our businesses and tax base. There is no free lunch. This is Econ 101. There's no romance without finance. You don't have no money, honey, you're not going to get nothing done. You're going to be broke, and we're going to be dusty. I'm not trying to live in no broke, dusty Oakland. I want to live in an Oakland that is prosperous, that is beautiful, that is walkable, that is edible. Oakland holds a tremendous, promising future. It always has. It's time to stop talking about the promises that Oakland could have and actually make our actions match our ambition to create a safe, clean, and livable city. I don't know how much more information you need to know that the people who are in charge right now are not honest. They are extremely dishonest people. They are cowardly people. Their virtue signaling is only meant to mask their own ugliness. It's only meant to mask their own genocidal fantasies. And yes, I did not mince words. When you keep people like Carol Fife, Shang Tao, Rebecca Kaplan, Nikki Fortunato Bass, Dan Cow, when you keep these kinds of people in power for any sustained period of time, you get what you see today. It's just like in Hill Valley when Biff stole the almanac. Shang Tao stole the almanac in Oakland, and she's ruined and collapsed our city. But we're going to recall her. We're going to take it back. right? Let me try that again. I don't know if you were enthusiastic. We're going to recall her and we're going to take our city back, right? If you said it right, please like and subscribe, comment, share this video far and wide with your neighbors. Give them access to relevant information so they can understand the lies that they're being told from our regressive leaders. They don't care about us. They care about their handlers. They care about the people who give them money. That's not Oakland voters. Oakland voters care about safe, clean, and livable cities. We care about being able to keep what we work so hard for. We care about watching our elders age in grace. We care about our children being able to play in the streets without walking by burnt out RVs and people who are in the most desperate conditions possibly known to man. The shame is mutual. It is a mutual shame of all of us when we see the conditions of our city, when we bring in guests and visitors. We have to explain to them that it's not that bad always, and maybe there's some nice places over here. I'm tired of that. We deserve a city that is safe, clean, and livable everywhere. There should be no good and bad neighborhoods in Oakland, but only thriving neighborhoods throughout. This is the most beautiful city in the world. Let's protect it. Let's work hard. Let's get it back on track. Gotham, Oakland. See you Wednesday. Peace out.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.